Usually when we talk about, building a billion-dollar global empire, there's this expectation of, well, ruthless precision.
Oh, absolutely. Sharp elbows, high stress.
Right. You expect to see this mastermind studying market trends, engineering hostile takeovers, and just outmaneuvering the competition with some highly aggressive corporate strategy.
Yeah, we're basically conditioned to treat success like a military's campaign, like it's something you have to hunt down and capture.
Exactly. But today, we're doing a deep dive into something completely different. We're looking at the core life philosophies of Konosuke Matsushita.
The legendary founder of Panasonic.
That's the one. And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack his incredibly profound everyday mindset. We are steering entirely clear of his supply chain logistics.
Thank goodness.
Right. Instead, we're exploring his personal blueprint for naturally attracting money, good people, and luck, even if you are starting with absolutely zero.
Which he did. And it's so refreshing because when you step into his world, that standard aggressive boardroom blueprint just goes completely out the window.
It really does.
Yeah.
For anyone who feels overwhelmed by this constant pressure to hustle harder, hearing a global titan of industry credit his massive success to simple daily habits it's fascinating.
It is, because Matsushita essentially viewed external success as a direct byproduct of your internal state. We're looking at a strategic landscape that is, surprisingly, about the mechanics of holding a teacup.
Holding a teacup.
Yeah, literally. It's about moving from the aggressive pursuit of success to the quiet, almost invisible magnetism of it.
So to understand how he attracted such immense luck and wealth, we first have to look at the cognitive state required to actually receive it. Right?
Precisely. It's like, okay, think of it like trying to download a massive new software update onto a hard drive that's completely full.
Right, this is going to crash.
Exactly. Until you clear the cache, until you admit you don't know everything, there is simply no room for new data to enter.
So you can't attract luck if your mind is operating at maximum capacity, just trying to defend its own ego.
According to his philosophy, no, you can't. Which brings us to what he considered his absolute #1 asset.
Right, he called it Sunao.
Sunao, yes. He wrote that when he started out, he had no money, no specialized knowledge, and no real experience. But he had Sunao.
Which translates to an honest, open, and receptive mind, right?
It does. But it is crucial to define what Sunao actually looks like in practice. Because, and this is important, it does not mean being submissive.
Or just blindly following orders.
Right. It's the willingness to admit your own flaws and the genuine desire to learn from everything and everyone around you.
It's a profound lack of arrogance, which honestly runs completely counter to human nature.
Oh, totally. Especially in professional setting where our survival instinct is to appear competent at all costs.
Yeah, he actually shares a story about his youth to illustrate this. An older merchant pulled him aside one day and told him that saying, "I don't know," is actually a young person's greatest strength.
Which is such amazing advice, but taking that advice requires dismantling your ego.
Which is painful.
Very. Think about that pivotal moment in his early career that he referenced all the time. He was in the middle of a major business deal, pitching a new product, and he was projecting total confidence.
Doing the classic salesman routine.
Exactly, puffing his chest out. And the president of the client's company quietly looked at him and asked a very simple question. He said, "What is exactly the basis for your confidence?"
Oh, man. And he said his mind just went entirely blank.
Completely blank. He realized in that split second that he was completely bluffing.
But the impressive part is what he did next. From that day on, he made a vow to stop faking it.
Right.
Instead of pretending to be the smartest person in the room, he started saying, "I honestly don't understand this yet. Can you teach me?"
And that is the turning point where Sunao goes from just a nice concept to an actual strategy. What he discovered was that when he admitted his ignorance, people didn't reject him.
They didn't mock him.
No, they leaned in, they respected his honesty, and more importantly, they felt a psychological pull to help him.
That makes so much sense. When you drop the facade, you instantly lower the defensive walls of the person you're talking to. The hostility it leaves the room.
Exactly.
But wait, it's funny you say that because if a 20-something in a modern startup hub tried that today, they might get eaten alive.
You think so?
I mean, the modern playbook is literally fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You are told to project unshakable confidence until your competence finally catches up.
Right.
So how does a concept like Sunao survive in a global culture that actively rewards bluffing?
Well, consider the cognitive load required to fake it till you make it. I mean, it might get your foot in the door, sure.
Yeah, it looks good on a pitch deck.
Right. But it is an incredibly fragile strategy. You are constantly burning precious mental energy just to maintain a mask.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. And Matsushita realized that if you are faking it, your brain is closed off to actually learning the mechanics of your business.
Oh, because you literally cannot ask the vital foundational questions if you're already pretending you know the answers.
Precisely. You block your own growth.
He actually used a brilliant analogy for this from the source material. He said pride and ego are like heavy weights that sink your growth.
I love this analogy.
Right. But so now, that radical openness is like a life preserver that effortlessly pulls you upward. It keeps you buoyant.
And that buoyancy allows you to extract value from any source, regardless of status. Like, there's a documented instance where a very young, inexperienced factory worker came to Matsushita.
Okay, to pitch an idea.
Yeah. He suggested a completely different way to handle a specific manufacturing part. Now, if Matsushita was carrying the heavy weight of his ego, he would have dismissed the kid immediately.
Because he was the boss and the kid was just a laborer.
Exactly. But because of Sunao, he actually tried the kid's idea.
And it worked, didn't it?
It skyrocketed their efficiency. He noted later that ignoring that young worker just to protect his own pride would have cost the company dearly.
Wow. He realized that growth opportunities are everywhere, constantly surrounding us, but only if we are humble enough to see them.
Right. And when you stop spending all your CPU power protecting your ego, you free up a massive amount of mental bandwidth.
And that's where things really start to change.
Totally. Your entire perspective on the physical world shifts. You stop obsessing over the resources you lack, and you start actually noticing what is already functioning right in front of you.
Which perfectly transitions into how Matsushita completely redefines the concept of true wealth.
Yes.
Because we are so conditioned to view wealth as a metric, right? A number in a bank account, the square footage of a house, a fancy job title.
It's measurable stuff.
Right. But he realized that true wealth isn't about the volume of things you possess. It is your capacity to actually feel grateful for them.
He argued that if your perceptual filter is broken, you will spend your entire life feeling thirsty, no matter how much water you acquire.
Because you'll constantly scan the environment for the gap between what you have and what you want.
Exactly, completely ignoring the resources you already control.
There's this beautiful story he tells about a highly stressful walk home from work during his early days. He was agonizing over his deficits. Needing more money, needing better factory equipment, worrying about payroll.
Real founder stress.
Yeah, heavy stuff. But on this walk, the evening sun happened to illuminate some simple flowers growing by the road. And just pausing to see that mundane beauty suddenly warmed his heart.
It snapped him out of it.
Yeah. He realized he'd been completely blind to the world right in front of him because his brain was locked into a scarcity loop.
It's a profound recalibration of attention, and it extends far beyond just, appreciating nature. It changes how we value human connection over material luxury.
Like his experience at the tiny diner.
Oh, that story perfectly encapsulates this shift.
Right, so he was on a business trip. It was late at night, and he wandered into this tiny, completely empty diner. An old woman was working there alone, and she served him the most basic meal imaginable.
Just stew, miso soup, and rice.
Yeah. And he complimented her on the warm, home-cooked feel of the food. She smiled at him and said, "We have nothing here but only things to be grateful for."
Only things to be grateful for. I mean, that single sentence is a masterclass in perspective.
It really is. He actually called that basic bowl of miso soup the greatest feast he ever had.
Because it clearly wasn't about the culinary ingredients.
No, it was the warmth, the genuine gratitude, the human connection. And he had a remarkably similar experience in his own company's early days.
Oh, at the factory.
Yeah. The factory was struggling. They were barely making payroll. The physical equipment was terrible. And a young employee looked at him and said, "President, we have no money here, but our hearts are rich."
Now, it is vital to point out here that Matsushita was not romanticizing poverty.
Right. He wasn't saying, "Stay poor, it's great."
No, he wasn't suggesting that it is noble to be broke. He was observing a hard psychological truth about human nature. Material accumulation constantly leaves you wanting more if your internal state isn't calibrated to notice value first.
You can see that clearly when you contrast those early struggling days with what happened later, when he actually became incredibly wealthy.
Oh, the house expansion.
Yes, he decided to expand his house, operating on the logical assumption that more physical space would make him more comfortable and therefore happier.
Makes sense.
But what actually happened? He quickly just got used to the extra space. It became the new, invisible normal.
It proved to him that acquiring more stuff is essentially a treadmill.
Exactly.
In modern psychology, we call that hedonic adaptation. Our brains are hardwired to adapt to our surroundings, no matter how luxurious or secure they become.
So the dopamine hit of the new house fades.
Yep, our baseline resets, and then we immediately start looking for the next upgrade.
It's like having a smartphone in your pocket with a million incredible features, holding the sum total of human knowledge. And you only use it to complain that the battery drains too fast.
That is a perfect analogy. The astronomical value is already there in your hand. Your brain is just filtering it out.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. Noticing beauty on a quiet walk home is relatively easy when the weather is nice.
Sure.
But what happens to that Zen mindset when the factory machines break down, a major client threatens to leave, and payroll is due? How do you maintain an open, grateful mind in the middle of chaos?
That is the million-dollar question. And for Matsushita, the answer was grounded entirely in the physical realm.
Okay, how so?
Daily discipline and the active organization of the mind. He firmly believed that a cluttered mind physically blocks good fortune from entering your life.
He was deeply influenced by a monk regarding this, wasn't he?
He was. A monk once told a very stressed-out, overwhelmed Matsushita, "If your mind is cluttered, good fortune won't enter."
Wow.
The monk was pointing out a systemic reality. Our external world directly mirrors how well we manage our inner world.
So internal chaos always eventually manifests as external crisis.
Always. And Matsushita learned this the hard way. In his early days, he'd admitted he was actually quite lazy.
Really? The founder of Panasonic was lazy.
Yeah. He would show up late, take long naps after lunch, and skip doing the bookkeeping just because he was tired.
And unsurprisingly, his business reflected that sloppy energy. Machines would break down constantly, clients would make unreasonable demands, and everything felt like a massive uphill battle.
Because when the leader operates without structure, the entire system degrades.
But the turning point for him was super literal. He looked in a mirror one day, saw a tired, sloppy man looking back at him, and realized that his external business failures were not just bad luck.
They were a direct causal result of his internal neglect.
So he instituted these tiny, hyper-specific, grounding daily habits.
And the scale of these habits is what makes them so brilliant. He didn't lock himself away for a 10-day silent meditation retreat to find himself.
Right.
He integrated discipline into the micro moments of his standard workday.
He started taking 3 deep breaths every single morning and saying out loud, "I'm grateful to be alive." He would physically wipe down his own desk. He would sweep the entrance to the building himself.
Little things.
Yeah. And get this, when he drank tea, he would hold the teacup with both hands to entirely focus on the warmth and the aroma of the tea. To a lot of people, that sounds almost too simple to be effective.
Well, from a neuroscientific perspective, it is a highly effective way to create a low-noise environment for decision-making.
Really? Just holding a cup with 2 hands?
Yes. By focusing entirely on the sensory experience of holding that teacup, he is pulling his brain out of the chaotic, anxiety-inducing future and anchoring it firmly in the present moment.
Oh, that makes sense.
He is actively interrupting the brain's default mode network, which loves to loop through worst-case scenarios. And wiping a desk isn't just about cleanliness. It is a physical, controllable act of creating order in a chaotic world.
And that mental order translated directly into tangible business success.
Mm.
There is a detail in his writings where a client trusted him with a massive, highly lucrative job.
Right.
It wasn't because Matsushita's product was light years ahead of the competition. The client gave him the contract simply because Matsushita was the one person who was never late.
It's that simple. When you organize your internal world, you become predictable and reliable in the external world.
And in business, reliability reduces risk.
Exactly. Clients will always pay a premium for reduced risk.
Now, if you are listening to this, you might be looking at your own calendar thinking, waking up at a strict time, always sweeping, policing my habits. That sounds exhausting.
It does sound like a lot.
In our culture, strict daily discipline is often viewed as a loss of freedom. It feels like a rigid cage that stifles spontaneity and creativity.
But if we look at it through Matsushita's systems thinking lens, daily self-regulation isn't a restriction at all. It is the architectural foundation of true freedom.
He viewed these small habits as creating an internal axis.
And an internal axis, exactly. Think about the volatility of the global market. There are massive economic booms, sudden market crashes, reliable clients who vanish overnight.
Global supply chain disruptions.
Right. If you do not have an internal axis, you get tossed around by every single wave. You
Oh.
panic and make desperate decisions when things are bad, and you get arrogant and over-leveraged when things are good.
But by regulating his simple daily actions, wiping the desk, breathing, showing up precisely on time, Matsushita ensured he always had a stable baseline to return to.
He created a high-signal, low-noise environment in his own head, no matter what the global economy was doing.
And once you have cleared out the noise and established that stable baseline, a very specific, powerful byproduct emerges.
The ultimate magnet.
Right, you have an open mind through Sunao. You are actively noticing the wealth you already control. You are protecting that mental bandwidth with daily physical discipline. When those elements align, Matsushita found the ultimate magnet that draws people and luck toward you. Profound gratitude.
And it is critical to frame gratitude the way he did not, as a fleeting, polite emotion you feel when someone does you a favor, but as a highly effective, continuous life strategy.
He observed how gratitude physically changes the atmosphere of a room. Like, there was a day at the factory where everything was going catastrophically wrong.
Oh, this story.
Yeah, machines were broken, production plans were completely derailed, and Matsushita was deeply frustrated. He was basically throwing a bit of a pity party for himself.
We've all been there.
Right. But one of his employees walked by and casually remarked, "President, I'm just grateful we even have work to do."
Boom. A statement like that shatters self-pity instantly.
It really does.
It forces the brain to reorient from look at this disaster to look at this opportunity.
It snapped him right out of his spiral. And from that moment on, he made "thank you" his default phrase for absolutely everything.
For everything.
Everything. Someone wiped a desk, "thank you." Someone answered a ringing phone, "thank you." He noted that this simple verbal repetition physically softened his employees' faces.
Wow.
It brightened the entire psychological atmosphere of the factory.
He was engineering psychological safety. Think about it when gratitude is the baseline of a corporate culture. Fear of failure is minimized.
People are less afraid to make mistakes.
Right. And they are significantly more likely to share innovative ideas like that young worker who improved the manufacturing part because they know their contribution will be met with appreciation, not harsh criticism.
Gratitude builds trust. And trust is the ultimate lubricant for business efficiency.
Exactly.
He even made it part of his daily spiritual practice. Every morning, he would stand before the Kamidana, which is a small, traditional Shinto altar, and simply say, "Thanks to you for today."
He wasn't asking for anything.
Nothing. He wasn't praying for $1 million or a new client.
Right.
He was simply setting a forward-looking, calm posture for whatever the day was about to throw at him.
Which is so interesting because most people view gratitude as a reaction. You know, a good thing happens, therefore you feel grateful.
But Matsushita flipped the equation entirely. He viewed gratitude as the invisible mechanism that causes good luck.
I mean, think about your own workplace or even your family dynamics. Who are you naturally drawn to help?
Are you going to go out of your way to assist the person who is always complaining about what went wrong? The person who feels entirely entitled to your effort?
Probably not.
Or are you going to bend over backwards for the person who genuinely looks you in the eye and thanks you for the smallest thing you do?
It's a no-brainer. Human beings operate on reciprocity. We desperately want to be around people who make us feel valued.
And when Matsushita radiated that genuine, unforced gratitude, he became an undeniable magnet.
Suppliers wanted to give him better rates. Employees wanted to work longer hours for him. Clients wanted to buy his products.
The luck he famously experienced throughout his career was actually the cumulative compounding result of thousands of tiny moments of appreciation. He built an unbreakable network of human goodwill.
It is a beautifully logical progression when you lay all the pieces out on the table like this.
It really is. You start by opening your mind, that's Sunao, and dismantling your ego so you can actually learn.
Right, clearing the cache.
Then, that newfound mental bandwidth allows you to look around and notice the wealth and resources you already possess, which helps you escape that hedonic treadmill.
You protect that fragile mindset through small, daily physical disciplines that clear out the mental clutter and establish your internal axis.
And ultimately, that clear, ordered mind leads to a state of continuous gratitude. And that gratitude acts as a beacon, naturally attracting the capital, the opportunities, and the exceptional people you were chasing in the first place.
And we have to remember, these are not quaint fairy tales or examples of toxic positivity.
No.
This is the literal stress-tested blueprint used by a man who built a global technological empire. He started from absolute zero, living in a tiny apartment, and used these exact mechanisms to scale his vision.
It proves that wealth is not just a financial status you achieve. It is a daily practice you maintain.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to mull over. Matsushita fundamentally believed that our outer world is a direct reflection of our inner state.
Right, the monk's advice.
Exactly. So take a look at the physical space around you right now. Look at your desk, look at your room, look at your calendar for the coming week. What is that space reflecting about your current internal axis?
That's a great question.
Are you seeing clarity or are you seeing chaos? And if you took just 5 minutes today to sweep it clean, to organize it, or simply to sit and hold your teacup with 2 hands, what kind of new luck might finally find the room to enter your life?
It's definitely worth finding out.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Try taking just one small Matsushita habit into your day. We'll see you next time.